In this week's Parsha, Parshat Eikev, we have the mitzvah Birkat HaMazon, grace after meals. Ve'acholta v'savata uve'erachta et Hashem Elokecha al haaretz hatovah shenatan lach. And you shall eat and be satiated and bless God for the good land that He has given you. This is the mitzvah Birkat HaMazon, reciting grace after meals, which is a mitzvah that we perform almost every single day, if not more than once a day. Rav Osher Weiss points out that there is another amazing aspect to this mitzvah Birkat HaMazon, and that is that it can bring people close to God. And he explains as follows. The opening of Pirkei Avot, Shimon HaTzadik teaches us, Al Shlosha Dvarim Ha'olam Omed, that the world stands on three things. Al Torah, the study of Torah, Al Avodah, the service of God, the temple service, Val Gemilut Chasadim, and the performance of kind deeds. And many commentators explain that these three pillars of the Jewish religion correspond to the three patriarchs. Torah corresponds to Yaakov, Jacob, the third of the patriarchs. Ish Tam Yoshev Oalim. He was a perfect person, an unguiling person who dwelt in the tents of Torah. He was always studying. Avodah, service of God, worship of God, is Yitzchak. Yitzchak's life was about service, and he was prepared to give himself up on the altar as an offering to Hashem. He wasn't a young lad when his father brought him up. He was already in his 30s. And Gemilut Chasadim corresponds to Avraham. Avraham's kindness was legendary, the way that he looked after the angels, the way that everybody was welcome to his tent. But asked Rabbi Weiss the following. The order doesn't seem right. Avraham, if he corresponds to chesed, kindness, then Shimon HaTzadik should have put that first in the Mishnah. He should have said the world stands on three things: kindness, worship of Hashem, and Torah. Avram, Yitzhak, Yaakov. But first it's Yaakov, then Yitzhak, then Avraham. Why not put chesed first? And he explained as follows. There is no question that Avraham wanted to teach Hashem's Torah in the world. He had studied Torah. He had learned Torah. There's a whole question about how he actually did that and how he was able to acquire the Torah before it was given. But he knew the Torah and he wanted to teach it. The problem is that people wouldn't be open to it. He wasn't in an environment where he could just build a yeshiva. First, he had to reach people's hearts, and then he could teach them. And how did he do this? Through his hospitality. The Torah tells us that he built an Eishel. And there he called out in the name of Hashem. What is an Eishel? And according to one opinion, it was an inn. A bed and breakfast. People would come and he would give them some place to stay and something to eat and nourish them. And afterwards they'd say, we'd like to say thank you to the host. And Avram said, well, don't thank me. Thank the creator of this food. And they would say, who's that? And he would go on and he would explain who Hashem was. So because of the fact that he built this Eishel, this inn, he was able to call out in the name of Hashem. People would begin to realize who God was. He used his kindness. He used Birkat HaMazon, thanking Hashem, to bring people close to Torah. And that's why he put Torah first, because Torah, of course, is the ultimate goal. And that's what Avraham wanted also. But the way to do it was through chesed, was through kindness. There are very few people who came close to Judaism, those who were far from Judaism. Very few who came close to Judaism because they heard a fantastic shir, they heard a rabbi giving an incredible sermon. Usually it was because they had a nice bowl of chicken soup at somebody's house. This opened their hearts, and eventually they came close to Torah. I wish you a Shabbat Shalom.